Hello, my name is Dr. David A. Bray, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to address you virtually at the Canadian Telecom Summit. I wish I could be there in person. Unfortunately, I was actually needed in 3 different locations this day. Needed one at your summit, 2 needed at an event in Texas, and also at a tech summit in Haiti. And unfortunately, teleportation beams have not been invented yet, although I'm really waiting for them, maybe in about 40 or 50 years. We'll see. However, again, through telepresence, I'm glad I can at least join you and have this discussion today. Now, you've already heard from FCC Deputy CEO Christine Calvosa, who works at the Federal Communications Commission overseeing both our technology and resiliency efforts. Like me, you probably were very impressed. She actually was named one of the top 50 women in technology by FedScoop last year in Washington, D.C. She parachuted into the role about a year and a half after I had arrived at the FCC. I came in as Chief Information Officer in August of 2013. About a year and a half later, Christine came on board to lead our technology and resiliency efforts that included what we called Operation Server Lift, which was finally getting off of all the legacy IT that we had on premise and moving it either to public cloud or commercial service provider. And she did an amazing job, both on leading technology efforts and even more importantly, inspiring and leading the team. And that's what I'm here to sort of talk to you today, and what I hope you'll hear from Christine about as well, is that oftentimes we focus so much on the technology that we forget the human dimensions of it too. Our world is changing exponentially. We've gone from having just 7 billion network devices on the face of the planet and 7.1 billion human beings in 2013 to less than 2 years later, 14 billion network devices relative to only 7.3 billion human beings on the face of the planet. Projections are, in less than 5 years, by 2022, we're looking at anywhere between 75 and 300 billion network devices on the planet relative to only 8 billion human beings. That is not linear change, that is exponential change. At the same time, the amount of data on the face of the planet is also growing exponentially. In fact, some estimates put it as doubling every 24 to 18 months. That is rapid change, such that by 2022, some estimates put the amount of global data on the face of the planet at 96 billion terabytes of data. To put that in perspective, some estimates put 96 billion terabytes of data as being equivalent to all the conversations we've ever had as a human species, times 2. Other estimates put it as all the data that human eyes see on the face of the planet, all of us together, in the course of a year. Again, that's not linear change, that is exponential change, and it's happening at a rapid pace. At the same time, in the last 7 years, we've seen artificial intelligence and machine learning begin to accomplish feats that we previously would not have imagined a decade ago. Winning chess, beating grandmasters, winning Jeopardy, winning Go, also beginning to show that we can actually drive cars autonomously, and also begin to make sense of images such that as a human begins to draw their version of a cat or a dog, in less than 20 seconds, it can guess this based on other people's perceptions that have fed the machine and informed the machine. What we're seeing is a rapid pace of change, and it's worth to step back and recognize that for most of human species in our existence, we only ran into 80 people in our entire lifespan. That's when back when we were living as nomads. And those 80 people were, in general, mostly our family members, not strangers. And I would submit that here at this summit today, you're going to run into at least 80 different people who are not your immediate family members, and that's just in your day, not just your entire lifespan. We are truly in what I would like to call cyber terra incognita, unknown land. The environment we're facing is unlike anything we've ever seen. At the same time as well, it's worth remembering that for most of our human species, you could ask your elders everything you needed to know. When to plant crops, how to protect from predators, when the seasons would change, and they would be able to give you answers based on their experience and your agricultural existence. Now, however, we're facing massive change and massive challenges such that we can't always go to our elders. Nobody has any answers. There are no textbooks for what we're facing in terms of how it's changing society, how it's changing organizations, how it's impacting our world. Now, what Christine Calvosa and I do at FCC, we're focusing on the IT and making sure that the FCC can meet its mission. We aren't into political issues. We're non-partisan, so unfortunately we can't answer any of your questions today that actually address policy issues. That's something to ask the commissioners and ask those who actually respond to those roles. However, we can talk to you about what we're seeing both at the FCC and in organizations in general trying to address these exponential changes both in the technology and how it's impacting what we can do. What we can do with network devices, what we can do with data, what it means in terms of artificial intelligence, automated programs and bots. This is truly changing how we live. It's going to change how we exist as societies, as nation states. The idea of organizing by geography, maybe that's something that will increasingly become challenged. And the challenge is what takes its place. Now I'm going to shift and wear another hat real quick before we go to our discussion today. Another hat that I wear is that of an Eisenhower Fellow, which was back in 2015. I had the opportunity to go to both Australia and Taiwan and meet with their private sector leaders and their public sector leaders and ask about how each of those nations were getting ready for the incoming tsunami associated with the Internet of Everything. Not just the tech, but also how it was going to impact how those nations operated. And some interesting questions arose. Again, I've already hinted about maybe increasingly the idea of organizing by geography may be challenged by the Internet, and that raises interesting questions about what takes its place. Having this conversation in Australia and Taiwan as an Eisenhower Fellow, I heard some people say, well, maybe we start organizing by affinity groups, by ideas, which on its surface might sound good, but let's be cautious about where that goes. Because if you begin to identify by ideas and affinity groups, and you only associate with people who think the same way you do, is that truly a representative democracy? Is that truly a republic? Is that really something where a diversity of ideas can flourish? Or if you insist on only associating with people that have the same ideas you do, is that an autocracy? And maybe that's not where we want to go. Maybe the other questions is maybe we're organizing in terms of more public-private partnerships, figuring out the opportunities to actually experiment and explore. Again, there's no textbook for where we're going in this world. It's worth noting, at least from the United States perspective, when our Constitution was signed, supposedly Ben Franklin is rumored to have said he could rest easy knowing the great American experiment could continue to exist for the next 50 years. Now, obviously that was 240 years ago, and we obviously still need new experiments because where we're going, there are no easy answers. There are different views, there are different signposts, there are different interests, all pushing and pulling in different directions as to where we go in this new era. That said, we've got to figure out where are those safe spaces to do experiments. And I really like the fact that in that context, Ben Franklin, again, rumored to have said experiments and expertise. And let me put that into perspective because the word experia is at the root of both expertise and experiments. Experia means out of danger, that the only way you get expertise in this rapidly changing world is you do experiments which by their nature are dangerous. They don't always work out. And so the question that we really like to consider is for this technology world we're going into, in terms of large data sets, in terms of large numbers of networks, in terms of questions about privacy, cybersecurity, in terms of questions about what artificial intelligence can and cannot do, automated programs, bots, and more. Where are those places where we can do experiments and learn and do so safely? Because experiments are dangerous. They won't always work out. And at the same time, inform and actually help move organizations forward in our exponential era. So that said, circling back, I'd now like to welcome to the stage FCC, Federal Communications Commission, Deputy CIO, Christine Calvosa, again, named last year as one of the top 50 women in technology in Washington, D.C. And I look forward to the conversation with Christine, and I hope you will too. Thanks very much.